What's up, Internet? This is Linja22. Team Sonic Racing has finally released, and so have the reviews. The reviews are a little bit mixed. It's a mixture of this game is pretty good to it's a little boring. But that's a little bit better than some of Sonic's other games, such as Sonic Forces, which is a mixture of meh, blah, or this is pretty boring. And my experience with Forces, it was almost good. It was like so close. It felt like it had something. But overall, the game was pretty boring, and the classic Sonic modes were actually pretty terrible. So that, believe it or not, but that portion was actually a very terrible portion of that game. And it's mainly because of the physics, but that's a video on its own. Since Team Sonic Racing was announced to not have any Sega characters other than the ones in the Sonic franchise, I was pretty unhappy with that decision, since the main fun part of playing Sonic and Sega Superstars, oh god, it's such a long name, but you know what I mean, the racing game, the first one, and Transformed, the fun part about it was playing these obscure Sega characters that you remember from the old games, and it kind of brings life back to them. I mean, how many times are you gonna see Billy Hatcher? I mean, I believe it or not, I got that game when it first came out, and I played it, and I was like, this is the dumbest game I've ever played in my life. And I just put it on my shelf and never looked at it again. And then a couple years later, actually many years later, I said, I remember this. I remember this game coming out, and it was like a Sonic Team game that's not Sonic. So I plopped it back into my GameCube, played it, and I gave it a chance, and guess what? It wasn't that bad, except the cutscenes were pretty embarrassing. That made me appreciate the character a little more, but now I know he's never going to get another game, so the closest thing we have is the Sega All-Star Racing games. But it looks like Sumo Digital finally gave us a reason into why. And that's mainly because of the adventure mode. You see, they want to create an adventure mode where they can get like voice actors and all that stuff. And then they also have this team gameplay mechanic that they want to implement. It would take a lot of work to get all this content for a bunch of different franchises where the IP is held by different people, different teams. They would have to get permissions. And if they just did it all in the Sonic universe, all of that is just given to them basically. And not only that, but there is a title called Sonic Heroes. So the concept of working in a team is already created from a previous game. Now, knowing this kind of makes me appreciate the game a little more as it is, and makes me a little more okay with the fact that we didn't get all of the Sega characters. It seems like this was a one-off project, and this is just something they wanted to create. In fact, at the end of Derek Littlewood's explanation, who by the way is Sumo Digital's studio design director, he definitely makes it very clear that he wants to go back to doing a Sega-focused game. This was just this worked better for that game, and I can actually respect that. So now I'm actually okay with it. Like at first, like I mentioned, I was a little bummed, but there was actually a reason for it, and a smart reason at that. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think this was an intelligent decision, or do you think that this is just bull and they should have just worked harder and used all the Sega characters? Let me know down below.